Have you ever opened your car insurance bill and felt that strange moment where you could have sworn it used to be lower? You didn't buy a new car, you didn't cause an accident, you didn't move to a riskier neighborhood, yet somehow the number quietly climbed again. So you sigh, tell yourself everything is more expensive now and pay it. Then you do the same thing with your internet bill, your cell phone plan, your streaming subscriptions, even your bank account where you've kept your paycheck for years without asking a single question. You keep paying because life is already exhausting enough, and that's exactly what many companies are counting on. No one sits you down in high school and says the longer you're loyal, the more likely you are to become profitable for someone else. But for millions of Americans, that's exactly what's happening. It's a hidden cost that rarely shows up on the evening news because it's not one giant expense. It's dozens of tiny increases spread across years until they quietly drain thousands of dollars from your life. Americans are already carrying historic financial pressure. Household debt has climbed to record levels, surpassing $18 trillion in recent years, while inflation has stretched family budgets in ways many never imagined. At the same time, companies have become remarkably good at using customer data to predict who is least likely to switch. If they believe you're comfortable, busy, or simply too overwhelmed to shop around, they often have little incentive to reward your loyalty. In many industries, the best promotions are reserved for brand new customers, while longtime customers continue paying standard or even higher rates. Think about how strange that is. Imagine walking into your favorite coffee shop every morning for 10 years, only to discover the person visiting for the first time gets a bigger discount than you do. Most people would call that unfair, yet when it happens through monthly bills instead of a cash register, it feels invisible. This didn't happen overnight. Over the last few decades, advances in data analytics transformed the way companies price products. Businesses no longer think only about what something costs to provide. They think about what each individual customer is likely willing to tolerate before leaving. Your loyalty, once considered valuable, can become a signal that you probably won't shop around. The result isn't just higher bills, it's something deeper. Families begin believing they're bad at managing money because they never seem to get ahead. They blame themselves for working overtime without seeing their savings grow. But sometimes the problem isn't another expensive vacation or daily coffee. Sometimes it's 1,000 invisible dollars leaking away through systems designed to reward movement instead of commitment. And once you understand how those invisible leaks work, you start seeing them everywhere, and what they reveal about the modern American economy is even more unsettling.
The more you look for it, the harder it becomes to ignore. That extra $15 on your phone bill, the insurance premium that somehow crept up another 8%, the cable package you barely use but never canceled because doing it means spending an hour arguing with the retention department. None of these charges are large enough to trigger panic. That's the genius of the system. If someone demanded an extra $2,000 from you tomorrow, you'd fight it. But $20 here, $12 there, another subscription that quietly renews every year, those disappear into the background noise of everyday life. Behavioral economists call this inertia. Once people settle into a routine, changing it feels like work. Companies know this. They know you're juggling rent or a mortgage, groceries, kids, student loans, overtime shifts, and trying to squeeze in a little sleep. Comparing insurance quotes isn't exciting. Negotiating internet prices isn't something anyone dreams about after work. So they design pricing models around a simple assumption: most people won't bother. Research across several consumer markets has consistently shown that customers who actively shop around often receive significantly better introductory offers than long-term customers who remain on standard pricing. In industries like auto insurance, wireless service, internet, and television, promotional rates are frequently aimed at attracting new business rather than rewarding existing customers. Over time, that difference can add up to hundreds or even thousands of dollars for the exact same service. Think about two neighbors living on the same street. They drive similar cars, use the same internet provider, and own identical smartphones. One switched providers 6 months ago after comparing offers. The other has stayed loyal for 8 years because everything just works. Ironically, the loyal customer may end up paying more every month than the new customer enjoying promotional pricing. This isn't because companies dislike loyal customers. It's because publicly traded businesses are under constant pressure to increase revenue and satisfy shareholders. Pricing teams analyze enormous amounts of customer data to estimate who is most likely to leave and who is likely to stay. If the data suggests you'll keep paying despite gradual increases, the business has little financial reason to lower your rate unless you ask or threaten to leave. Bobby learned this the hard way. He was a warehouse supervisor who hadn't switched his auto insurance in nearly a decade. One afternoon, a coworker mentioned getting a quote from another insurer just for fun. Bobby laughed and did the same. Within 30 minutes, he realized he'd been paying hundreds of dollars more each year for nearly identical coverage. He wasn't irresponsible. He wasn't bad with money. He had simply trusted that loyalty would be rewarded. Instead, it had become expensive. That's what makes this so frustrating. Americans are often told the path to financial stability is working harder, skipping small luxuries, or budgeting every penny. Those habits matter, but they don't explain why two equally responsible families can end up with dramatically different monthly expenses simply because one regularly renegotiates while the other stays put. And once you realize the loyalty tax exists, an even bigger question appears. If companies are using your habits against you, how do you turn those same habits into a financial advantage instead of a financial trap? That's where everything begins to change.
The good news is that once you recognize the loyalty tax, you don't need a higher salary to start fighting back. You need a different rhythm. Instead of treating your monthly bills like permanent fixtures, start treating them like negotiable contracts. Companies review their prices constantly. There's no reason you can't review them too. Imagine setting aside one weekend every 6 months as your personal money reset. You open every recurring bill, insurance, internet, cell phone, streaming services, even your bank accounts. You ask one simple question. If I were signing up today, would I still be paying this price? That question alone can uncover savings most people never realize exist. Don't assume the first price is the only price. Call your provider and politely explain that you're comparing options. Ask whether there are any loyalty discounts, promotional rates, or updated plans available. Many companies have retention departments whose job is to keep customers from leaving. They often have access to offers that never appear on your monthly statement. Even if they can't match a competitor, you've lost nothing except a few minutes of your time. The same mindset applies beyond monthly bills. Let competition work for you. Banks compete for deposits. Credit card companies compete for customers. Insurance companies compete for drivers. Internet providers compete for neighborhoods. Your loyalty has value, but only if you're willing to remind companies that they have to earn it. This doesn't mean chasing every tiny discount or switching providers every month. Constantly changing services can create its own headaches. The goal is balance. Stay when you're receiving fair value. Leave when you're being charged more simply because you've stayed quiet. There's another shift that's even more powerful. Stop thinking of financial health as only earning more money. Just as important is preventing unnecessary money from slipping away. Saving an extra $1,200 a year on recurring expenses has a similar impact to getting a raise, except you don't have to work extra hours, commute longer, or sacrifice more time with your family. Every dollar you don't waste is a dollar that can build your emergency fund, reduce debt, or grow through
Just
investing.
as important is preventing
Perhaps the
unnecessary
biggest
money
lesson
from
is
slipping
this.
away.
Loyalty
Saving
should
an
be a
extra
two-way
$1,200 a
relationship.
year on recurring
If a company
expenses
values
has a
your
similar
business,
impact
it
to
should
getting a raise.
continue earning it. If it doesn't, you have every right to explore better options. That's not being disloyal. It's being financially responsible. Millions of hardworking Americans aren't struggling because they're careless. Many are simply operating in a marketplace that quietly rewards attention and penalizes autopilot. The moment you stop assuming your bills are fixed and start viewing yourself as an informed consumer, you begin taking back control. Those small victories don't just improve your budget, they rebuild your confidence. And confidence is one of the most valuable financial assets you can have. If this opened your eyes to something you hadn't considered before, hit the like button so more people can discover it. Subscribe for more real-world financial stories that affect everyday Americans, and let me know in the comments, what's one bill you discovered you were overpaying for? Or which one are you going to review first? Your experience might help someone else save hundreds or even thousands of dollars.